Hello, amateurs, and welcome back to the Rugby World Cup series. And I've got Elko with me again today. Elko, how are you?
Very well, thanks, TT. Thanks for having me on again.
Very welcome. And we are looking at the weekend, the second weekend of fixtures here at this Rugby World Cup. So, first question, which games stood out to you? Which was your sort of match of the weekend?
Well, I think all of them had a bit about them. I guess the standout was Fiji beating Australia, which was just not only was the game or the result amazing, but the game was just quality. And they were in one aspect they were very Fiji, and in one aspect they weren't very Fiji. And we'll go into that, I guess. But no, I thought Portugal were awesome against Wales as well. And I thought he's had some pretty clinical games with the big guns that went out and put a lot of points on some nations that they were expected to beat. But all in all, I thought it was some great games, and not too much controversy, which was good. Not too
Always
much.
good. Yeah, absolutely. Right. Well, let's start with Australia Fiji because I also thought that was probably the game of the weekend. And I mean, I just want to kick off that the physicality of Fiji, I thought was almost on a different level. Like they were so dynamic. But they also built a score, which was a very sort of pragmatic approach to getting ahead on the scoreboard. So what else did you see?
Yeah, I agree, and that's kind of what I was getting to. With they were in one way really Fiji, and in another way not so Fiji. That their athletic prowess is just amazing, and the skills as well. But I think Ranuli has is it Simon Ranuli,
Raul.
ex Saracen, yeah, has obviously brought a bit of steel and structure, and the fact that some of the guys are playing together in the down for Drua, down in the Super. They just look very organised. Their lineout was really good. Their scrum was excellent, and they built a score. And that number 9, who was taking the kicks, was just he had to go off for cramp. Kiravalli, but he didn't miss a thing. He was, well, I think maybe 1 out of 6, I think. But yeah, they were able to build a score, get penalties from 40, 50 meters out, and he was just slotting them, which put enormous pressure on their good friends Australia.
Yeah, and I want to pick up on what you said there, the scrum. I think that is huge, absolutely huge for them. They've got that tight head, and he just doesn't move. Like I've not seen anybody move him yet, and that's obviously we all know. Like it's so important. If you've got a bedrock of a scrum, then you can base a lot of play off of that. And on the flip side, I know the coaches said it shouldn't be a factor and all this and the other, but missing Taniela Tupu and Will Skelton was a big loss for Australia as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, huge, huge. They missed them up front. They just didn't have the physicality really. And when Fiji have got front foot, they're so hard to stop because they're not playing like other people. They're if they see space or 3-on-3s or 4-on-4s, they're going for it and backing their players to do something one-on-one, which was, and that's scary. And the way they're able to not like break a step when they're getting the ball, the passes are so accurate in the midfield that they can get on the outside of the edge, which is amazing. I think it was interesting though was that, I mean, what were they? They were 22-8 up, and then they became Fiji again, like the old Fiji. They just stopped playing. Oh, like, keep going, just keep running it. I think the 9 going off maybe was something to do with that, and then Australia came back in. I was like, oh no, here we go. But they managed to close it off and had the kick at the end, which I'm good. Well, not I'm not gutted, but it would have been nice if Australia had to come out without any points. It leaves the group a bit more open. I think Australia would have been in big trouble without the bonus point in the end. But the sub scrum half missed it unfortunately, but managed to kick it dead, which was the most important thing.
Yeah, I mean, just to sort of round off this fixture, I guess it just means that what we thought was going to be the most, exciting group of the whole World Cup is going to turn out to be the most exciting group because this is going to go all the way to the end, and who knows which two teams are going to come out of it. I'm certainly not sure.
No, I still don't know. It could go. There could be a couple of surprises. Georgia might have a hand in it as well. Fiji still got to play them. You just don't know what's going to go on there. But it'll be interesting to see. Um, but I'd love if Fiji got through. It would be great to see them in the quarters for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Although they
So,
might have to play England, I'd be less of a fan of that. I think.
yeah. As well, I'm wondering how much Cabo was drunk after. That could be their biggest flaw. Like, presumably they've been very good boys and sticking to it and being very disciplined off the pitch, which would be
Yeah.
very un-Fiji. But let's see.
Right. Well, let's stick within the group then and go to Wales, Portugal, because I too was like massively impressed by Portugal. They just played to space every time they got an opportunity with the ball. They had some fantastic runners. The 15 was an incredible sidestepper, and they were a joy to watch. I was in the stadium, and it was wonderful to see.
Oh, you're at that one, were you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Amazing. What was the atmosphere like?
It was really good, really good. Like the Welsh were singing. I mean, probably not as much as people would expect, I guess, but it was a buzzing atmosphere, just really friendly and yeah, a good day.
Yeah, no, I thought it was good, and you spoke very highly of them last week. I wasn't so sure, but actually, you're absolutely bang on. They were very attacking. I thought their set piece was great. The try they scored off of their line out was awesome, and I haven't seen many times where the catcher does a no look and puts it the other way, and completely bamboozled Wales to get a nice score in the corner there. No, they look good. I mean, I think it answers a few questions. I would imagine for Gatlin, that number 10. I think he's got to go with bigger. I didn't think Anscombe had the best game. It was a bit loose again. I think that probably cements bigger into the number 10 slot. But yeah, their scrum was really good. I don't know if you appreciated the crucial try at the end that Falatau got under the posts to get their bonus point, which is massive, as we spoke about before in this group. But they got a lovely loose head up under the posts, which twisted it, and the Welsh nine trapped the Portuguese nine, and then Falatau was able to bomb over under the posts. So it was a great bit of scrummaging. So I think they'll be happy, and I think their two captains were really sort of stepped up. Derry Lake and Morgan, who wasn't meant to be playing, who came in late for Rafael. I thought two of them had really, really good games. So fair play. I was thinking of you on the day. I didn't know you were there, but what did you think of the Welsh kit?
I'm too far away to sail, to be honest. I was right up in the gods. Um, what was it? Oh
Black
yeah,
and a
black
bit
and
of
yellow.
yellow.
That's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, not very Welsh, but I did actually quite like
No,
it.
I love it. Yeah, I thought it looked really
Yeah,
good, really good. And obviously, Reece Zammit got in for a try and did his Ronaldo celebration, which I thought was cool to do. I'm not sure how the Portuguese felt, but I thought it was really cool.
yeah, good point.
Fair
I mean,
play.
I'm going to pick up on what you said about Gareth Anscombe. We were sat watching it in the stadium, and he didn't look like the player he once was. He looks like he's a yard or two slower. Everything's just a bit more pedestrian. It was really apparent that they were not very creative in the midfield, and Wales essentially just bludgeoned their way to 4 tries, basically.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I
I think
completely agree with what you.
he's had injuries, right, and he's only back again from a knee again, I think. So I think he's a class player. I just don't think they have enough time, and didn't have the fixtures to play him in there. What were your thoughts on the yellow card for the winger um, that went up and ended up putting a foot in Adams's head?
This is a really difficult one, isn't it? I think it's
Uh,
I could argue it both ways. I personally I think I go on the side of it was a complete accident. And although he's
yeah,
caught him in the face, I think a yellow card is sufficient. I think that's what I'd go with. Although there's been precedent with these before, and it has been given as a red previously. Only a couple of times I think I've seen it previously, but
yeah.
it's a
Barrett
really difficult.
Barrett got one, and he got a straight red, but it was rescinded after.
Mm,
And a Dogwu did it in the Prem. Um,
mm.
both of those were quite different, though. I think they both of them were looking at the player, and on this occasion, I just think he lost balance. If
Yeah,
anything, it could have been a penalty against Wales because he's still in the air, but it's just The refs just need to be careful that they're not getting they're not judging the outcome, the fact that he got kicked in the face as wide.
Yeah.
But I hope we see him again, because he's a good little player, that left winger.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's move on to England Japan. And again, I was at this game, and it felt very similar to the Wales Portugal game in lots of ways. The favourites were kind of bludgeoning their way to a victory. Didn't play much rugby at all, and Japan, played a lot more, but unfortunately made crucial mistakes, which allowed England's pressure to count for important tries at important times as well. It wasn't particularly inspirational in the stadium. There was some unhappy fans for sure. There was some booing at times when the kicking got a bit too much. But I don't know. Again, I was torn last week, and I still am. If we end up winning the World Cup playing like this, I won't care. But I don't see us doing that really.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, hang on a second. When we spoke last, you'd no tickets for any games, and now you've been to two. I love it. Amazing. And fair play. Enjoy it while you're out there. Very jealous. Well, being that you were there was loads of reports after about how obviously it wasn't raining, but it seemed the ball was very humid, and the lads just looked like they were sweating buckets.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it didn't feel like it where we
Okay.
were. I mean, we were right on the top of the stadium as well. It not overly, it was a warm day. There had been rain previously, so it's possible that it was very sort of humid down on the pitch. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, there seemed to be a lot of errors. Yeah, it was. I mean, Japan played quite strangely, I thought, for them, but really tactically aware. I think they kicked almost as much as England, and it was a kick fest, and it was basically who was gonna break first, who was gonna come off of that. And in fairness to the way England are taking this on, and we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. If you remember, I was talking about reverting to type, and whose game plan is going to work best when we revert to type. And we're starting to see now in the big games where everyone's quite nervous that we are going into this kick fest of getting rid of it. If you don't break a line in your first three phases, get rid of the ball, because you're more likely to turn it over, or the other team is more likely to make a mistake. And that's what it felt like, until sort of Japan started doing some mad little kicks over the top, and then they started to run, and then England went, right, let's go. And at that stage, I thought that they'd worn Japan down. The game was broken up. Marcus Smith comes on and can revel a little bit in that. I thought Ford was excellent again. His kick for Freddie Stewart's try was just lovely, just off his sort of turn and then onto his left peg, bang, and took that really nicely. And I think England are I understand why the fans are getting a little bit, but if it's effective, like you said, if you win like that and you win the World Cup final and they're booing and you win, who cares? Like, just
Yeah.
do what you got to do to win the game. I do think we'll start to see some more from them. I think there was signs of it in the last 20 minutes where connections were starting to happen in the back line, and funny, I think Manu was off at that stage, I think, but they looked all right when they went for it. Earls again was very good, very hungry, busy. I heard a few report. I don't know if you could see off the ball, but there was a few things on social about Vunapula and him like walking a lot. I don't know if you saw that, whether that's very unfair. I thought he did all right when he came on, but there was some people saying that he was walking about, but it was hot, right? So, and I think another really big positive for England is Marrow. I think he's starting to look like the Marrow of old. He's starting to take ball on, and when he hits people, you're seeing him get gain line, and he hadn't been doing that for a while. So I think the signs are good. I think England are starting to look, and I must say that the header for the first try was just sublime from Joe Marler. Wow, I loved it. Yeah. He's brilliant. I love him. The aftermatch stuff was hilarious. Fair play to him.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the after-match interview, go and find that on Twitter somewhere. He's classic Joe Marler. I would pick on one thing you
Classic.
said about Marcus Smith. honestly, when he came on the pitch, he never stopped moving. And I'm talking about when the ball was dead as well. He was just running around between everybody, sort of checking everybody was in. Are we doing this? We're doing that. Just I think he was just trying to get his run meters up, to be honest. Either that or he was like a excited 15-year-old. Honestly, he didn't stop moving. He was sprinting everywhere all the time from when he came on to the second he went
Yeah.
off. Talk about energy, talk about enthusiasm, and he had some good, inserts into the game as well. He had some real quality when he came on. So it'll be very interesting to see how this fullback thing goes, whether it becomes a bigger
Mm.
thing as the tournament goes on. Who
Mm.
knows? But
Well,
yeah,
I
his
think
energy and enthusiasm was infectious when he came on.
yeah, and he's that's how he is with Quins. He's like that all of the time. But he's got players around him that kind of know what he's doing, and the game plan kind of mops around that. And maybe they have that. In the last 20 minutes when they've they probably have the guys with the stats and they can probably tell where the other team are, and it's a bit like now we go. They run off their feet, Marcus on, and everyone plays off him as a second or first ball player. Freddie Stewart has a dead leg, by the way. Apparently, that's the word in the street. So that might be an interesting for the next game.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see whether they start Marcus then at fullback. They've done it during in the game, so it'll be an
Mm-hmm.
amazing time for a first start at fullback, that's for sure. Okay, let's
Yeah,
move
big time.
on to let's just run through the other games now in order, I guess. Let's go France Uruguay. What did you make from that game?
Oh well, we were texting each other, weren't we? Oh, I mean, it was what a start. They were really good again, right? And played their hearts out. But their 10, Echeverry, and did that nice kick pass. Again, they all seem to be going right to left. Funnily, don't know why that is, but that seems to be where the tries are for Freitas to score. Brilliant try. And it was wow, what's going to happen here, and what will again we were again going back to revert to type. Will a second string French team um, be under pressure now with the crowd, but they were workmanlike and came back into the game and sort of did what they needed to do. But I thought Uruguay were excellent again, and did themselves proud. Played some really good stuff.
Yeah, I agree. They were kind of inspirational, and again, just they played space a lot of the time. They played what was in front of them, which is refreshing to see in the current rugby climate. France
Yeah,
were
big time.
I mean, the offloading from France early doors was obscene, some of it. And I think they probably overplayed too early. And, once they realized they were in a bit of a scrap and they sort of knuckled down a little bit, then they found a way to win. But, God, that could have
Yeah,
gone really wrong for France for a long time there.
yeah. I think that the end score probably flatters them, because Uruguay scored on I think around 50-minute mark, which made I think 13-12. And again, you're like, oh, what's going to happen? And then coach killer France kick off. Um, they mess up the kickoff. It goes back to the 10. He kicks it and hits it off his own player. It bounces back into the French hooker's hands, and they score into the post. It's like, oh no! Like they had a held on there and kicked down. You don't know what might have been. They were, but France. Then the last 10 minutes, France were just very sort of disciplined and did what they need to do to get the next try, and it was gone. But that's World Cup rugby, I guess. That's you got to take those chances when you're there.
Yeah, it could have gone a very different way. A game that could not have gone a different way is New Zealand Namibia. It was a rout, really, wasn't it? Namibia didn't really show up, to be honest, and the Kiwis were pretty
No,
effective.
yeah. It was interesting. I mean, the Kiwis, I thought, got mixed feelings. They look when they click, it's clear that they're very, very dangerous, and they clicked lots of times. But they were quite clunky as well in certain aspects of the game. But they still scored 11, 12 tries or something ridiculous. Their nine, who I haven't seen a lot of, is it
Roygaard.
Cam Roygaard? Yeah. He was exceptional, as was Mackenzie with ball in hand. They're very dangerous. But I don't know about you, but the standout for me was the loose head prop. I think doing the out the back. Well, in fairness, they've they've taken on what Ireland have done, and their tie head and loose head can stand up in 10 and pull a ball back out of everything. But that was just that out the back was just was it Laua Tower or Laua? Had it written
Uh,
down somewhere.
Tonga Fassi, was it?
Um, no, it was Lulala or
Ah,
Laulala.
no, Lala.
Yeah, out the back door. And then, of course, the kind of blot was the group getting sent off, which was a no. It was a red card. End of second man assist, and was too high and whacked the guy in the head, so he had to go. That's a bit of a loss for those guys, but they were they looked really really dangerous, and I still think they'll have a big say in this competition for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think, yeah, I agree. Okay, let's move on. Samoa, Chile. I only saw the first half of this one, and I thought Chile, acquitted themselves really well again. They got stuck in, they moved the ball, they were efficient, and again, another team that is it seemed to just want to play what they see. Would you agree with that? And then let me know what you think about the second half as well.
Yeah, it wasn't the most amazing game after their first one. I think what we said probably happened. I think the emotional high of the opening week, and then you know, playing against a team that maybe they should do better against. It just didn't happen for them. I think the emotion of last week was too much. I thought Samoa were very impressive though. I thought they were very workmanlike. Again, set play. I think they scored 3 tries off driving mauls, which is brilliant. Well, not what we would traditionally expect. They look very well drilled and have got good set piece for sure. So yeah, it was an all right game. The the standout, and I don't understand why more people are not speaking about this, but I feel we need to. So there was a yellow card for Chile in the second half for their substitute prop, who had only just come on. But it was accumulation of offsides or something, and he'd literally come on and got out. But I want to talk about his hair. His hair is the best haircut in the World Cup, without a doubt. Have you seen him?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, so he's completely bicked and then has the biggest mullet out the back. It is extraordinary. Have a look. His name is Esteban in Ostroza.
Okay.
Fantastic. Listen, I'm sure he's an awesome player as well, but his hair is quality.
Okay, let's move on to Ireland Tonga. This was late at night for me after a long day of drinking beer, so I can offer very little insight into this, apart from Sexton's try, which was classic
Yeah,
Irish inside, attacking inside shoulder play.
yeah. They were again very very efficient. I thought might be a blueprint of what's coming up at the weekend. They seem to commit a lot of bodies to the rucks in the first half to make sure that they won ruck ball, and I think that might be something they're practicing for when they play South Africa. And yeah, it was great to see Sexton break the record and with a try. He followed Ringrose through. There was clearly they'd done some really good analysis on how Tonga where they saw the tapes. I don't know, or whether they did it in the game to work stuff out, but their guards were just going every time. So you saw for the first try for Byrne, 9th to Sexton, and then Sexton a big pass back inside to where the guard had gone, and then Doris was through, and then just put Byrne under the post, who finished really really cleverly. But yeah, they're efficient. And what I liked about it was they're feeding the beasts. If you look at who scored, it was so you had Burns, Sexton, you had Mack on one wing scoring a lovely try. He had a lot of work to do to finish it off. You had Lowe get a try. You had Aki get a try. So they're feeding all their. I mean, I would imagine that camp is very, very happy and very hungry, and confidence is really high. And we look to escape injury, I think, apart from uh, Beelum, who came off with a head concussion protocol, which I think Ty Furlong was really happy to have to come back on. He was breathing out of his backside, but yeah, really efficient. Tonga, to be fair to them, as we thought, were very physical, and again, that was their first hit out. Ireland are on it. It was a very strong Ireland team. I think Tonga will probably take a scalp. somewhere along the line. I hope they do, for various reasons. But yeah, good performance from Ireland for sure.
Yeah. Uh, okay, South Africa, Romania, which I saw a fair chunk of. I've got to say, I was really impressed with the size and the athleticism of the Romanian forwards. Like there had some big fellas that could move in that pack, but obviously they were undone by just a lack of class,
Yeah,
really. Like they just looked like two divisions at least below South Africa, and South Africa exposed them constantly.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you got to feel for the Remains, haven't you? You're playing number one and number two in the world in the first the first two games of the World Cup. At a World Cup, they are there by default. But yeah, look, South Africa were deadly. Scary at times. With a perceived weaker team. With three number nines, two of them playing out of position, but they were awesome. And I think if Romania had any sort of belief to do, maybe not to beat them, but keep the score down, it was gone after 20 minutes. They were 26 down, and I think Ryan Ackett scored his hat trick, which was the quickest ever, and he held the record the last time, in the last World Cup. So they were really impressive, and I mean, from an Irish point of view, I guess you could say that which team is better prepared for this weekend, but we don't know what the selection is, and Ireland potentially are more battle hardened, but South Africa are just so powerful and so big. I'm not sure that will play into it, but yeah, very impressive again from the world champions.
Yeah, the Romanians had this the Islander playing on the right wing, and it seemed like he could only tackle people when they dropped the ball. Like if South Africa caught it, then they were gone, off to the races. But anytime somebody dropped it, he was like whack, have that.
Whack.
Uh, yeah.
Played
Okay.
with a few people of that.
Okay, mate. So we'll bring this one to a close. Have you got any other thoughts about the any of the matches at all, or any sort of closing
No,
thoughts?
I just think another great round of games, and it sets us up nicely for the weekend. Should be good.
Absolutely. And people at home, what do you think? What were your favourite games? Which players stood out for you? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're down there, give this video a little thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, because I am out here in France for the whole World Cup, and I'm doing daily vlogs which take you into the stadium, into the fan zones, all the places. More stadiums than I expected so far, but that's all good. So come up and say hi if you see me, and don't forget to get out and play.